Anomalies, Curiosities, and Oddballs on this episode of Toy Train Tips and Tricks. Hello again, this is Mike. Maybe I'm weird, but in addition to collecting and running my O-gauge trains, I'm also fascinated by the history of my items. What tales could this piece tell me about its original owner and the journey it has taken through the years from the factory to my possession? And sometimes I will stumble upon something that makes me say, hey, that's weird. How did that happen? And so, in this episode, we have 4 short detective stories about items that, at first glance, appear to be perfectly normal. But upon further inspection, there's something different, something special that tells us an unusual story about the piece. First up is this Lionel MPC era number 9700 Southern boxcar from 1972. Now, there are several unusual variations of this car, including a rare brown version, not the common brown Southern boxcar that Lionel made later in the 9700 series, but a real brown number 9700. This, as you can see, is clearly the common red version. Well, what about end plates? Some early number 9700 cars have end plates marked 9200, reusing the dies from the previous boxcar series. Nope, 9700 plain as day. So what is unusual? Well, most 9700 boxcars look like this one, a red boxcar with white heat stamp and painted lettering, just like mine. But if we look at the lettering on a real Southern boxcar from that time period, we find something else. In the center of the O is a green circle, corresponding with the "Gives a Green Light to Innovations" logo and slogan. Now, if Lionel intended to paint this circle, it would have required an additional paint mask, a significant expense for such a small detail. But wait, my boxcar does have a green dot in the center of the O. And if you look closely, it's not paint, it's not ink, it's a sticker? Yes. When Lionel shipped these cars to their dealers in 1972, they included a sheet of common green office product type stickers for the dealers to apply themselves. Most did not bother, which is why the dotless cars are more common today. Some dealers, it seems, were lazy and only added the stickers to the side of the car that could be seen through the box window. If you look carefully at my car, you can see how the dots are off-center slightly, and one dot leans to the left and the other to the right. Clearly not a factory job. I was completely unaware of this sticky situation until I received and inspected the car after buying it on eBay a few weeks ago. I just wanted a Southern boxcar for my railroad, and now I have a conversation piece. The next oddity is this Marx caboose. Now, I'm not a Marx expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do know that the number 20102 New York Central Pacemaker caboose is one of the most common 6-inch tin pieces Marx ever made, perhaps second only to the number 556 New York Central caboose using the same body style. They came in many different variations, illuminated, non-illuminated, with or without ladders and railings, and with just about every version of tab and slot or plastic knuckle couplers Marx ever made. They could even come with either plastic or metal wheels. But one thing I had never seen on this or any other Marx caboose before was this triangular shoe behind the back wheels. This piece must have come with 2-rail track as part of a mechanical or battery-operated set because this piece would catch on the center rail. This also makes sense because the caboose has a sliding tab and slop coupler, and these were exclusive to these types of sets. The sliding coupler introduced slack into the train, allowing the mechanical or battery-powered locomotive to start the train moving one car at a time instead of needing to move the entire train at once. The caboose also has plastic wheels. So this was definitely part of a mechanical or battery-powered set, but which one and how common is it? Unfortunately, I acquired this piece as part of a large assortment of Marx cars. The 10 cars were an afterthought to me as I was primarily after the deluxe 8-wheel plastic cars in the lot. The assortment contained pieces from a number of different sets, so it's impossible to say which, if any, of the other cars were part of the original set. Adding to the mystery is the general lack of documentation of Marx train production. Unlike Lionel and American Flyer, Marx rarely produced a consumer catalog, and most of the original factory documents were destroyed half a century ago. Sometimes Marx strains can be identified through the pages of a Sears, Montgomery Ward, or other catalog, but so far I have not been lucky enough to find a set with such a car, and eBay and Google searches have yielded no photos of any other such cabooses so far. Thanks to a Marx collector in a Facebook group, I can state the purpose of this strange appendage. This other collector has photos of a special two-rail plastic Marx turnout that would be activated by the caboose appendage as it passed by. This train set would feature two turnouts, one a simple spring switch that would throw to whichever way the train was running, and one that would be thrown by the caboose, allowing the train to alternate between traveling on a larger oval and a short inside loop. I've misplaced that original Facebook link, but the collector had no other information about set components, production years, or quantities other than that it was a regular production item and not a prototype. If you have any such information, please share it in the video comments. And speaking of comments, if you're enjoying this video so far, please like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe so YouTube knows you enjoy this kind of content. And if you can't get enough of these videos, consider supporting the channel financially through a membership. Members have access to exclusive video content, shout-outs, priority comment response, and early access to videos when available, and more. Thank you for your support. Next up is an odd coincidence, or at least I think it's a coincidence. Over the years, I've collected a number of these Lionel tri-level open auto racks, made between 1973 and 1989. Most of the ones I have no boxes, but my two most recent eBay purchases of these cars both came with boxes. Both cars are the 9129 Norfolk and Western versions made in 1975 and 1976. Now, the weird thing is that not only did they both come in the wrong box, but the same wrong box for the number 9123 blue C&O car from 1973 and 1974. So, did these cars come from Lionel in the wrong box? Not likely. Lionel could have easily fixed this by slapping a new sticker on the end of the box with the correct car number. Adding to the curiosity is this box describing the car as mint condition. Now, in order to be mint condition, it must be in its original box. Plus, by placing this large piece of tape on the box, no serious collector would consider the car to be in mint condition anymore. A small sticker was later added with the note, "Wrong box." So, are there lots of extra number 9123 boxes out there, and people found it convenient to use them for their N&W cars? And why not other cars of the series? And what are the odds of two N&W cars being swapped with C&O boxes by previous owners, and both of them ending up in my hands from two separate transactions years apart? It's a mystery that will likely never be solved. And our last oddity is this boxcar. This is a Lionel number X2454 operating Baby Ruth boxcar. Now you might be thinking, wow, I've never seen one like that before. And, well, that's because Lionel never made an X2454 operating Baby Ruth boxcar, at least not in regular production. Even if you don't have a guide handy, there are some simple red flags that tell you right away that this is not a factory-made car. First, look at the number. A 2000 series car would be a regular, non-operating car with staple end trucks and coil couplers with sliding pickup shoes. This car has bar end trucks with magnetic couplers, which are features of 6000 series cars. Plus, as I mentioned, operating cars were in the 3000 series, like the X3464 New York Central and Santa Fe operating boxcars. Also, notice how the door has been modified so that it will catch on the mechanism to open the door when the man is activated. Original X2454 cars had doors without this little latch attachment, and actual X3464 cars had that little attachment cast into the door. So this car is most likely a case of an operator simply attaching an operating boxcar mechanism to a standard short boxcar to make this interesting piece. There is also a slim chance that this could have been put together by a large Lionel dealer, such as Madison Hardware. They were known to purchase Lionel overstock items such as extra shells or extra frames, and they could have made something like this to resell on the cheap. However, without the original box or any other documentation, no one can say for certain. In any case, it may be an interesting piece and fun for operators, but this car has no collector value as it is not a genuine Lionel product. This is one way that knowing a little bit about Lionel's production numbers and processes can help identify legitimate versus illegitimate items. So that's our 5 cars with interesting and unusual histories. Some we can guess, and others we may never find out. Do some research on the items in your own collection. You never know what interesting things you might discover. So keep the trains running, and we'll catch you next time with more toy train tips and tricks.